Hey everybody, Aaron here. Welcome back to another anime review. Today we look at the final episode of Danganronpa 3, episode 11, Side Despair. So, I'm going to do something a little different for this review, guys and girls. Usually with the last reviews, I always have just the one image up. I talk about the whole series overall. I kind of avoid the spoilers and stuff like that. But I actually kind of want to talk about this episode because this episode was really, really good. And I think for the most part, I just want to talk about some of the stuff that leads into it, kind of give you guys and girls some backgrounds, and kind of talk about some stuff that is really interesting that leads into the games and stuff like that. By the way, I apologize if it's quiet. I'm, late at night. It's 11:32 at night, so I can't be talking super loud because I do have my neighbors. I have my dad sleeping in the next room, so gotta keep it somewhat quiet. But I will talk loud enough that you guys can hear me, of course. Anyways, let's get on to this review because I really want to talk about this. So we have Yukizome presenting to the class, her final speech. Now, this is very interesting because, as we all know from last episode, they have all fallen into the kind of despair. They have all become now puppets, essentially. And they all are talking and, having a good time with the speech. Meanwhile, outside, the students, the reserve students, are now breaking through the entrance finally and just causing mass chaos. I mean, I could show you the million and one scenes of just chaos everywhere, of them killing various other students and stuff like that. And what's funny about this, though, is that it climaxed to where you see Yukizome crying and, still hypnotized. I think in many ways, inside somewhere in her heart, she feels for this. She understands that she is now a puppet, and everyone else in the classroom, they're all talking about how great they're going to do things in the world. They're going to help the world and make it so much a hopeful, better place and stuff like that. And that is not what's going to happen at all. They're going to lead the world into horrible, horrible despair, as we know from the horrible despair moment that happens across the world. Now, meanwhile, the teachers, the few teachers left, so the headmaster, I forgot the guy's name, the guy with the hat who died in the future arc, and Tengan are in one shelter talking about how they're going to hope the school can survive this, because so far there are now 3,000 students dead because of the despair students, the reserve corps students, and only one class, of course, exists left, which is the class that is now all under Junko's kind of mind control stuff. But what's funny about the scene is that, they talk about how they're going to kind of hunker down here. They're going to start building the school back up somehow, because Hope Peak Academy was always meant to be hopeful, meant to be kind of the place that they could rely on. And, the headmaster talks to Tengan and say, we're gonna have the remaining students, the ones who are left, the still ultimates, are going to stay here, be protected, and this way we can maybe somehow come back from all of this and survive into the future. Now, what I think is really cool too is we see the man with the hat actually tell the headmaster how he plans on protecting Kyoko, and as we know from Future Arc, he did do that at least. At least to his best of his abilities, he saved Kyoko during the scene with the pit inside the one room that led into the dead end room. So I mean, he did his job, and it was kind of nice to see him actually finally say it, so we understood why he said it in the first place. Now, Junko, having seen from the rooftops of another building all the despair and all the stuff kind of come to fruition, has the ability to now control everyone. So she stops everyone by using her cell phone, sending a message out, which we see on a receiving end was apparently Monokuma, and that same monitor image that we see in the future arc is seen here. So that means that they use a very similar program to mind control these people. And what's really, really, I mean, this shows you more how fucked up this is we have the students jumping out of the rooms. They jump. I'm not even gonna show the whole image because the image was kind of dark. I'm not gonna show it, but they're jumping off the roofs, jumping off the building. You have people going into the fire to die. I mean, it's pretty bad. Now, meanwhile, though, we do have the class, of course, from Danganronpa 1. We have them setting up to make the school, safe. They're putting the walls into place, the screws into place, and all that. And what's funny? Junko looks at Makoto and goes, "He's going to be a problem." And she doesn't understand why, but she throws a wrench at him, and he falls because his ultimate hope kind of comes through. He falls on the ground and is able to survive the attack from Junko. And Junko's quote unquote sister goes, "Hey, maybe we should just kill him, get rid of him." And Junko does. What's very funny, she goes, nah, let's leave him be, because if he was able to destroy this whole plan of mine, that in itself means my despair was too weak already. And as we know, Makoto's good to destroy her despair. So, I mean, it's pretty interesting that one little moment that she decides to keep Makoto alive, she could have killed him, and she decides to keep him alive, kind of leads to the whole stuff that comes forward, which is interesting. Now, various scenes start showing the end of the world. Essentially, we see Izuru, just standing above everything, looking down at just horrible chaos. We have buildings being destroyed. We see all the other students from class, I believe 87, is it? We see them all looking and in various places, destroying the world through their means of hope, quote unquote. It's pretty messed up. And what's funny is that it just shows how screwed up the events are. Now, I like this right after more so before the end of the credits, we have Junko talking about the story a little bit as a narrator, and she goes, "Did you plan on really having this story end on hope? This story was meant to always end on despair," and it's so true because this was meant to end on that note. This was never going to be a happy ending to this, folks. Future arc and the side story that's coming out as the OVA episode, those are going to be hopefully the hope, the happy and hopeful note. But this was never going to end in a good way. And it's very nice the way she said it. I mean, she predicted it and she says it like that. It's just interesting. It breaks the third wall in many ways, so I think it was kind of cool. Now we also see the island, Jabberwock Island, and we see Hajime reintroducing himself to Nanami. And what's cool about this scene is that this is the beginning of Danganronpa 2, essentially, not like the exact beginning, but this is leading up to the beginning. And we see that he apparently put himself into the program to kind of see how despair and hope would work. He wants to see it for himself, and he was curious about it. So in many ways, he kind of sabotaged himself if he comes back and becomes Hajime again. Izuru essentially sabotaged himself without realizing, because of course, as we know from the games, this is where he's going to come back to reality and kind of reawaken himself and realize the fictional world he's in right now and blah blah. It's very interesting. I love how this ended. I think this is such a great climax to the series. I mean, honestly, this was a great episode. Let's talk now about the whole series in general. I want to talk about what I thought about the series graphics, animation, art, stuff like that. I want to talk about the story in general. I want to talk about the voice acting, soundtrack, all that stuff. So let's start off with the story. This was so well done. I mean, it tied in with Future Arc, so I think in many ways you needed to watch Future Arc at the same time as this. But it ties in so well that it just made it where I always enjoyed this. Even though I kind of had an idea of where it was going to go, it always threw kind of little wrenches in my own plan, because I didn't know exactly how Danganronpa 2's story starts off and ends. I have an idea of it, of course, from playing the games, but you never get the full grasp of it. And Side Despair does a good job of showing everything that links to the first game and links to the newer story, of course, and stuff like that. It is a quintessential kind of tie-in that you need to watch, but watching it is just enjoyable as watching Future Arc or even the first season or stuff like that. Animation-wise, stellar. I mean, I love Danganronpa's art. I love the animation. I think that if you're a fan of the game, I think you'll enjoy the kind of quirkiness that sometimes the animation does with characters and, like the pink blood and stuff like that. Those are things that have been a staple of the series genres. And I think that it just works so well. I really do enjoy it, and I think it was really well done. I had no issues there. Soundtrack, voice acting, stellar. I mean, I love the opening. I love the closing. I love the voice acting. I mean, I think all the voice actors did their job to the T. I think more so for me, I enjoyed the Japanese sub. I know the English dub for the games, because I haven't seen the English dub for this, of course, but I know the English dub for the games I have hit or miss things with. I didn't dislike it, don't get me wrong, but I felt the Japanese dub is stronger, or excuse me, Japanese sub. So, what did I say, Japanese sub? But that doesn't make any sense. Don't listen to me. Like I said, 11:40 at night. I'm in a class. I'm tired. So, but I think the voice acting was stellar. I think every character worked, and just it was all overall very well done. Overall, final thoughts: Danganronpa 3 episode 11, whole series, everything about the series. Side Despair was amazing, and I gave it on Mal a 10 out of 10, which means if I had to review this show from an A through F, A+. It deserves an A+ all day long. It is one of those shows that I could rewatch in the future again. I could really enjoy it. I mean, it's something that if you are a huge fan of the show or a huge fan of the games, you will love this. And if you really want some kind of mystery elements, if you want some really dark and disturbing moments and really graphic content, this is a great anime for that, because there were some really twisted things in this overall. I mean, last episode, of course, as you knew, I cried during that because of how messed up it was. This episode had some really dark moments with the suicidal students at one point. It's messed up. It's a messed up series, but it's a great series, honestly. Anyways, guys and girls, that's it for me. I'm going to end this review because it's late, like I said, so I'm going to put this up right away as soon as it's finished. I will talk to you all later. As always, if you like this review, hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, the whole nine. Talk to you all later, everyone. Have a blessed night. Bye-bye.